I'm sorry.
So, because I was about to say, I would like to go in and talk to the gentleman that Giorgio just got done talking to.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Gogo, what are you doing during this whole time? Like, how do you take that message, or are you not there?
She's just dead silent because she's so pissed off because she just got everybody there in perfect timing and now she has to wait a week or
Right.
more.
Yeah, exactly. You did your job, but now complications mean that your job like becomes irrelevant, right? Like your job is lessened because of this delay.
Yeah, absolutely. So she, before Fortune leaves, she looks at him and she's like, "You need to fix this now."
Sure. And
And
then
then she just storms off, probably in search of some sort of alcohol.
sure, yeah, and you see Giorgio like he kind of like is pacing back and forth, and he's on his data slab, like clearly like typing a very irate email to send off to someone. So Fortune, you go over and you're gonna enter the guy's room.
Correct.
All right. And I think that you get up to like the door, and it's got like one of those name placards on the door itself, and it's open. The door is open still, and you see the guy in there. He's kind of like doing the whole like hands on hips, like kind of like bending, like stretching his back, and he's got his back to the door. And on the nameplate it says William, William P. Stryker is what it says.
All right. I knock on the door frame.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that he turns around and goes, "Oh, yes, come in. How can I help you?"
I think you were just talking to my, we'll say, business associate, Giorgio.
He goes, "Ah, yes, Giorgio. That man sure knows how to go on a tirade." And he kind of like nervously like, and his eyes like you can tell like he's not a thin man, but he's not like obese. He's kind of somewhere in the middle. He's a healthy individual. And you can see he's got like a little bit of sweat on his brow because he's been exerting himself. And and he kind of like he walks around the desk to you that is filled with some like papers, and it's got like a little globe on it, but the globe is obviously like Eurymedon 2, not Earth, obviously. And he walks over to shake your hand. And he goes, "I'm William, and what can I address you by?"
I shake his hand and I say, my name's Arthur Fuller.
"Very well. It's nice to meet you, Arthur. Have a seat." And he directs you to sit down.
I take a seat.
And he's like, "It's a shame about what's happened in the mines. I tried to tell Giorgio that that in a little less than a week I could have some people here, and the team that we're sending over, they're gonna come clean it out. But he seemed unhappy with that result. I'd rather not lose the business if I can help it. You guys, the West Wind has always been good to me."
Well, what exactly is your problem?
Yeah, he kind of like looks, and I assume you shut the door when you came in.
Yeah.
He kind of like looks at the door and he goes, "Well, it's like I told Giorgio. It appears that the lining of the," and he starts to explain like how it works. So like what happens is on they're inside of Eurymedon's like gas atmosphere. They're like these rocks, and what happens is the miners go, and inside these rocks they put like this dome field around it, like this actual constructed dome field. Like they grab it and they like bring it inside, and then what they do is then the miners actually go onto the rock and they begin mining it and pulling the minerals out of it. And this is to protect from the hostile biosphere that Eurymedon naturally has, because they're inside this like metal enclosed. But it appears like the safety measures that were inside the dome did not cleanse all of the hostile biosphere that existed. So when the miners went in to grab it off of this piece of rock that had this rich, rare material in it, that some of the biosphere was left inside of the rock. It wasn't all cleansed before the miners got in there. So that's what they mean by like the safety measures weren't implicated correctly. And so he says, he's like, we gotta wait for a team, and he explains the whole process. He's like, they'll be here, and then they'll systematically sweep all the tunnels and scan the rock and make sure that it's totally clear before we can get the miners in there to collect the rest of the ore.
So what are they clearing out?
Yeah, you ask him directly, and he kind of is like, I mean, it's something that typical miners can't handle. I'm sure, you know, it's not as bad as they say.
Well, what do they say?
Right, yeah. He kind of like was trying to deflect it, but obviously you're not going to be deterred by that nonsense. So yeah, and then he said, well, they say there's these worm-like things that come out of the ground, and they said they have these pincers. I don't know. None of my men came back with injuries. Yeah, but you know, they don't. He's kind of like, you tell he's a bit nervous, like talking about it. He's still evading a little bit, like he's being evasive.
And what size would you say these worms are?
He says, he was like, oh, trust me, don't talk to the miners. They say that some were as big as their forearms. I don't believe that at all. He's like, I'm sure saw some bugs, and then they got scared because they thought it was the hostile biosphere, and he waves his hands, like does the jazz hands, like, ooh, hostile biosphere. And then he's like, but I'm sure it was nothing. That's why the team is going to be here. They're going to clean it out. We're going to get everything squared away. It's no problem.
Well, where'd you get this team from?
So I think he says, oh, well, it's the Tote Alliance. They're coming to, they're the typical responders for us.
Stand by while I look this up.
Yeah. They're in the factions. The Tote Alliance is essentially the sector security, and they provide security for. They're funded by governmental sponsors. So any government that exists on any planet or any system can basically pay for these guys to be their like military. They're not super big. They're not on every planet. They're kind of restricted to this like quadrant of space. They're generally kind of like, if the Claris group are the rough, tough mercenaries, these guys are the like clean cop-esque individuals.
Got it.
They're not going to take jobs where like they kill people, but they'll take jobs where they get to arrest people and prosecute people. They're very, if we had to put like an alignment to them, they're very lawful good.
Alrighty. So then I tell the guy, what, when he says like the size of your forearm, I kind of look down, judge the size of my forearm, kind of give a shrug, referring to the size of the worms. So I'm like, what if I told you I could get you a group of Claris mercenaries here today?
He kind of like, his brow kind of furrows a little bit, and he looks at you and he says, Claris, the mercenaries, yeah? Well, I can say I've not heard anything bad, but, well, the Total Alliance doesn't like people moving in on their turf. He's like, we kind of pay them. I mean, it's by the job, but, you know, it's kind of understood that they deal with our problems for us.
Yeah, but I kind of want to get my stuff and go home.
So he says okay, and he kind of like looks around nervously, like there's no one else in the office, and like no one else can hear you. But he does that whole like, you know, look side to side to make sure nobody's there, and he goes, well, how much? Because if it's better and it's quicker, yeah, that might work. Especially if it lets me keep the West Wind contact.
Well, how much were you paying Tote?
So he kind of looks and he goes, well, a job like this, we typically rate him at 2,000, and plus any medical expenses.
All right, well, since we're already here, you don't have to wait, so that's going to be an extra 500. We'll probably be done faster than Tote was, so that's another 500. But don't worry about the medical expenses.
Okay, so you want to jack the price? You'll tell him like you'll do it for 3,000 today.
Yeah, I'll do it for 3, and we'll have it done by latest tomorrow.
Sure. Okay, so I think that will be somewhat hard. Like if you had gone same or lower, it would have been easier. So I think that you're going to be at a difficulty 8 business roll on that. But he may counteroffer it even if you fail.
All right.
Like you're not down and out if you fail this business roll.
And that attribute would be
charisma.
Charisma?
Yeah, charisma. If you were like looking over documents or trying to read fine print, it would be something like intelligence or wisdom. But okay, yeah. So I think
sweet Jesus.
I think he kind of leans back in his chair. I think he kind of leans back in his chair and he goes, $3,000's a lot. He's like, the West Wind pays me good, but I could always just sell to Haldus like everyone else. What about this? Since you guys are here already, I'll take that under consideration, but I'm sticking my neck out here. 1,500 for you and your crew. And you don't want medical expenses covered? Well, how about this? I'll tack on some extra med kits for you guys.
Well, judging by my last roll, I don't know if I really want to try to push this any farther.
Yeah, you totally could though. You could counter offer if you wanted.
Yeah, but that's not very promising. I said, well,
no, but remember, it does save you money
what?
on your original mission too, because you're doing it a week early, right?
Yeah.
Am I still standing right outside the door?
I mean,
basically?
yeah, you could be standing kind of wherever you want unless you're hanging out with Giorgio.
Is it okay? So I would like to try and assist.
Okay, how?
And is it reasonable that I would have been eavesdropping on this?
This actually room is designed for business deals. Like this is what happens here. You could could make like a difficulty 9 perception check, and I would allow you to have it with wisdom.
If I pass, I would like to do something.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Give
Yeah, it's going to be a hard
sec,
one
then.
because we did ensure that the door was closed.
Yeah. I mean, if that is the case, what I'm going to do will be even more effective.
Sure.
So I think it would be.
Sure.
Sorry, I had my character sheet closed out.
It's all right.
So perception. With wisdom.
Yeah, no problem. You could totally have been eavesdropping. Maybe when you look to close the
11.
door, maybe Fortune like left it open a crack, but not noticeably so. So yeah, you totally could have heard all of the talking.
Okay, so I know within 11. I know basically the entirety of the situation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
So when this guy counter offers, basically when he declines Fortune's suggestion that he pay us $3,000 and say we take care of it, Oscar just pops up in the room immediately next to the guy, and like you hear the like the pop, and he blinks in, and his arm is around the shoulder of the guy, and he says, we would really need a little bit more than that in the way of supplies if we're going to help you.
Okay.
Right after that, I'd be like, so this is one of my members of my party here representing the Claris group. So don't be too alarmed, but we'll have that on our side. So maybe, like 2,500?
Yeah, so I think that I think he actually might fall out of his chair at that point.
This
right?
this is a not, subtlety is not Oscar's.
Yeah. So I think that
forte.
he falls out of his chair and he does the backup crab walk a little bit, and he's he gripping his chest and he's like, holy shit, who the fuck are you? And then you tell him it's a member of the Claris group or whatever, and he goes, well, fuck, you could have just brought him in. You didn't have to come in like that. And I
feel grand entrances make dealing with numbers a little easier.
Sure. So you're gonna counteroffer with 2,500. Let's see here. Characters.
So I am attempting to assist via intimidation.
So I think that your assist roll is going to be it's going to be intimidation isn't an actual skill, is it? It's persuasion. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, so I think it's you're gonna persuade, but I'll give you a +1 just naturally on it, and
Sure.
you have to succeed at the difficulty, which is gonna be a 9 again.
Oh God. Okay. Well,
And
we'll see.
statistic wise, you can probably use it'd probably be your charisma, your general presence, but you're getting a +1 anyway, so.
Oh my God.
So I think
this
that
was entirely the wrong tack to take with this guy.
I think that you realize that very quickly,
yeah.
right?
He shit his pants and he's not.
Yeah,
really
he wasn't intimidated so
malleable.
much as now he's just scared shitless, and probably unwilling to do anything
God.
that like's going on. But you can still make the offer, and still make your roll, fortune.
Shit.
Yeah, let's do that.
Same
Do I
check
get
as
an
before.
an assisted bonus for?
You do not, because he did not pass the skill check. He
I-
has to
I
pass the skill
did
check for
not
you to
help.
get an additional +1. No. So yeah, so I think he looks at you and he's like,
Guys, come on.
I think he looks at you and he's like, I don't want any trouble with the Claris group, but I can't accept that, especially the Total Lines will find out, and like he's gone to like gibbering. And remember, this is like a glass room, so pursuing like this line may attract attention from unwanteds outside.
Oh, yeah. I'm not strictly trying to bully the guy, but
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but you feel at this rate you probably are not going to get anything out of him. Because like, imagine the day this guy is having. First, he was yelled at by his West Wind Corporation contact and told that he was going to
for
lose
sure.
a large chunk of money. and then, you know, this seemingly okay guy comes in and says, hey, we'll solve your problems. And then just out of nowhere teleports this large 6', 6.5 foot creature next to him. And he basically shits his pants. Yeah, you feel like you're probably not getting anywhere with this guy, and the time is done for this, I think, course of action.
Yeah, I think even Oscar has the sense to pick up on that.
Yeah. So I think that like you guys are like, well, shit, that didn't work. And we flash out to Boomer. Boomer, you receive a phone call like right around while this is all going on, and it's coming from like unknown ID, but it's like coming into your compad like boop, boop, boop.
Boomer, go ahead.
He goes, Boomer, it's Marcus.
Marcus, how you doing, you old dog?
He goes, oh, I'm doing well. You're back in system. What can I do for you?
I came into system to do a job. It looks like it's falling apart rapidly. I'm curious if you had any work, possibly headed back towards the Sojourn or anything en route between here and there.
He goes, yes. I hate it when jobs fall apart. He says, what was the job you were on?
I'm just collecting some materials from over on Eurymedon 2 and taking it over.
Oh? Who are you working for nowadays?
Beyond the highest bidder?
I mean, besides that, of course.
No, currently I'm leasing some of my services over to West Wind.
Okay.
Taking care of some transport and tech.
Yeah, sure. So he goes, oh, Westwind, huh? I heard they've been interested in Red 5 lately. And you would know Red 5 to be the material you're picking up.
Yeah, I've got a fair bit of interest.
Yeah. Dangerous
Sounds
stuff
like
that.
you
I hear it's
may have a
explosive.
job for me.
He goes, dangerous stuff that. I hear it's explosive. I personally don't deal in the stuff. Too dangerous. Plus, it requires I go to the planet for long periods of time. I don't feel like having my intestines eaten out. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I do.
So he goes, well, jobs. He's like, I can look some up, but no promises. Lots of, well, where you say you're headed to, Sorn? Yeah, lots of bad traffic coming in and out these days.
Well, that's why we need good, reliable, hardworking contacts like yourself.
I hear that's a dangerous road, but if you got a good pilot, you'll be fine. And I know you. You'll keep the ship running at least. Haha.
You know what? If it helps with the job, just so you know, we made the trip from Soren to here less than 3 weeks.
It's a good run. It's a good run. Let me see. I'll reach out to some people. See if I can find something for you. Can't guarantee anything though, of course.
No, I know what you mean. Just hit me back.
You got it, man. And he clicks off. So that's about the time I think that Oscar and Fortune, you guys like walk out. And do you guys tell Boomer what happened?
On my way out, I want to be like, well, if you change your mind, just we'll be on planet for probably another week.
Yeah, he's like made it up to his desk, and he's like got one hand on his desk and one hand on his chair, like leaned over, breathing heavy. Yeah, and he just like kind of waves a hand to like send you off.
Right,
I don't think Oscar mentions anything.
Right, just silence.
I don't mention anything. I just say, yeah, they didn't want any help.
Okay, cool.
Should I go talk to him? I'm pretty personable. I could talk to him.
I think he's done talking. They're just waiting on some people from the Toad group. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Oscar just says he's not feeling well.
Right. Yeah. Cool. All right. So then we cut over to Gogo, and Gogo, you're currently you're probably participating in some type of drinking game with some truckers, you know, after you win, clearly, because you would always win the drinking games.
Obviously.
You you're sitting at the bar maybe, and like you've already fended off like 2 people that have tried to like come up and actually and quote unquote talk to you. But then a third guy sits down, and he's clearly like a space trucker. You don't know him in particular, and he kind of looks over and he says, "So, what you hauling?"
What's it to you?
He just kind of shrugs and he's like, "Casual conversation. I'm just here for a drink, waiting my load to be loaded. You?"
Currently, it looks like we're hauling a whole load and nothing.
Ah, job fell through then, huh?
Well, yet to be determined, but it doesn't look good.
Ah, you know what you were looking out for?
What everybody's looking out for here.
He smiles and he nods and he's like, yeah. Can't carry that much stuff. Can't carry that on my ship. Too big. They say that you can't keep too much of it in the same place.
All hearsay. The stuff's fine. I've carried it before.
He kind of like impressively like does the whole like eyebrow up impressive nod, and he goes, "Wow, it's a good load. Makes you lots of money. Sorry
Now,
it fell through though."
To be fair, she may not have, but she just says it anyway.
Sure, yeah, he has no reason to not believe you, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think he says, "Well, what are you gonna do? You got somebody making a new contact? Something?"
I mean, they're trying to do their job, and she looks over at them, like, walking out of the office, looking all dejected, and she goes, "Looks like they didn't get it done, though. I guess it's on me now."
So he kind of looks, he's like, "It always is. Us pilots, man, they take us for granted sometimes."
Well, you're a pilot? What ship you got?
So yeah, I think that the bar is probably set on like you can see out to the spaceport. And he says, "Well, I'd show you, but can't land it. No atmosphere. It's a big cargo hauler, ST-31, and you know an ST-31 to be like a large like 200-ton cargo hauler. It's one of those ones I was talking about. Like Westwind would have had like a full fleet of like flyers with it. It's usually for transporting like common goods from location to location."
I guess that's impressive, she says.
Yeah, he goes, "Thank you very much. What are you flying these days?"
Insert name of ship here, but she calls it Big Mama.
It's an Apollo class. It's a West Wind Apollo class. He goes, got some armament on that one too, at least stock.
Oh, we got more than stock on that.
He shakes his head and he goes, well, damn. Hate for any pirates to catch up with you then.
Yeah, pirates aren't a problem.
John hated that too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he just kind of nods. And after that, he kind of like breaks off the conversation, but casually, like hearsay, unless you engage him with something else.
I think she would finish her drink and kind of, gesture at him as if he could buy her another one.
I think he kind of chuckles. He's like, "Ladies first." As he downs his and like slams it on the bar, as if to imply ladies buy first.
She goes, "Yeah, right," and gets up and leaves.
Sure. Yeah, he just kind of chuckles, and you can see him like order another drink from the bartender as you leave. So yeah,
I would walk back towards the group at this point to actually confirm that they screwed up.
yeah, confirm the fuck up. Absolutely.
Hey, we didn't screw up. He just didn't want help.
We actually got a job. I just was a little overzealous about the renegotiation of the terms.
Well, to Margot, it looks like you all messed up, so she's coming over anyway.
Sure. So she comes up and asks that.
Yeah, she just says, "So what happened exactly?"
He just didn't want any help.
No, I was under the impression that we were doing the job for him for how many credits did he say?
1,500. Like, if you, we
Plus
can go back and say
medical
you pressured, like you were like, just kidding, 1,500 is fine. That's totally cool. If you guys want to do that, that's fine. But I was under the impression that when you blinked in and fucked up that, he was like, never mind, I don't want to get myself involved with crazies. But if you guys did the whole, just ribbing ya, and he's like,
I was
oh,
figuring
God.
that we would just go and do it and then demand pay.
Sure, yeah, that is totally a thing you could do as well. Like, you guys are authorized to go to the the processor ship. Like, you're part of the Westwind Corporation. You guys can kind of do what you want because technically the Westwind Corporation probably owns the processor ship. Probably owns the processor ship.
Yeah.
But it's just run by these other guys because, as you can tell, the Westwind Corporation basically just contracts out all their work and just has like handlers, right?
Mm-hmm. So I think, well, just out of character, I think this is probably in Arthur's court. Like, if I mean, if Margot asks and says, "Oh, you screwed it up, did you?" Oscar would not be above going back in and then being like, "So we'll do that, and we'll be back tomorrow for pay." Yes, I think that would probably secure the job just fine.
Yeah, I don't think he's opposed to like giving you the job, but like, hey, you guys do what you want, but like, I don't really want to get involved like any more than I have to. He's like, I made an offer, but that's kind of where I'm gonna stay because I don't want to have like whatever come from that.
So then I would like to briefly explain the job to the rest of the group.
Okay, yeah. Insert info dump here where you all heard what I said.
Correct.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then I'm like, so for 1,500, do you guys think it's worth it?
I mean, if it means we don't have to spend a week here, let's do it.
I kind of think if I go in there and maybe schmooze him a little bit, I might be able to get that $2,000.
I mean, do you explain in which the way that you attempted to address that to Boomer?
No, I just let Boomer just knows the details of the job. He doesn't know how we tried to increase or decrease the amount of money we're getting paid.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So what do you say to Boomer when he says that?
Like, he's pretty firm on his terms, and I worked some, but he's got the tote group coming, and he's gonna pay them, so he doesn't need us. I'm just offering this for a favor, and he said he could give us 15.
I think so. Oscar probably offers, we could do this job. Giorgio turns up, if anything.
Right, because Giorgio is still like researching something. You guys could wait and see what that is.
Yeah, so he says, we appear to have time to kill.
Yeah, you guys could totally go do this job and then not get the thing from him and just let Giorgio make a deal with someone else and then get their stuff and then go back.
I mean, Giorgio has supported our aspect of, getting side jobs, so I don't see why not.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't delay the primary mission, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Let's get paid twice for one mission, why not?
We sort of got burned by this. I don't think Giorgio would be upset if we, if in the course of our doing this work we turned up something that we could flip on someone else for more money. It's probably fine. Giorgio gave the impression that we would not be revisiting this particular contact, so I don't think we'd be burning any. We wouldn't be burning any bridges by doing this.
For sure, not at all. Giorgio has written this man out of existence in his life.
To be fair, I have a couple of contacts here, but I haven't heard anything back from them. But I really think that we should just go ahead. We'll take care of this. Come back. Hey, we did that job for you. Now give us the $2,000 or $115, whatever.
All right. I'll be right back. So I head back towards the office.
Sure. Yeah. So you head back over there and you see that do you knock on the door? Because the door's open again. He doesn't have a meeting.
Yeah, I just kind of knock on the door frame, pop my head, and say, "Hey, Arthur again. We'll do it for 1,500. Thanks. Bye."
Sure, and I think he just kind of looks and he goes, "Whatever, man. Just don't bring your friend around." He's like, 1,500 is fine. We can afford that.
With the extra med techs?
He kind of looks and he goes, yeah, and he grabs you can see it's a requisition form, and he signs off, and he goes, "Here," and he hands it to you.
Thank you very much. See you in a day or two.
Right. And you can see the requisition orders for 2 medkits, and you have to go to the what's it called? The quartermaster to get them, which is a simple hey, I go get them, and then you can have them.
Yeah, that's on my way over to the quartermaster. I breeze by. Look, I even scored us a couple extra med kits.
Yep, cool. So you guys also have coordinates to the processor ship, and do you let Giorgio know? Because Giorgio's been he's you could say he's a little frazzled now. He's got a SOCAF in his hand, and he's drinking it and typing with one hand on his data slab, and drinks the SOCAF, and as you guys approach to talk to him, he goes, "Yeah, what's up?"
I want to go a different route with this. Instead of even approaching him, I'm just going to send him an email from my data slab.
Sure.
That pretty much just says, "Hey, we're going to take care of something. Just let us know when you need us."
Yeah, and he probably says, he probably sends back, he says, "Okay, period. Don't blow up the ship, period." And then just space or enter -G, and that's it.
All right, Giorgio gave us his blessing.
Yeah, and you get it instantly. As soon as you send it, 10 seconds later, he's responded with all of that.
All right, guys.
Let's go.
So yeah, so you guys go pile back on the ship, and it's a quick little jaunt over to the planet. It takes a negligible amount of time. Yeah, you guys as you fly into the atmosphere of the planet, your sensors start to light up with all of these fucking crazy spectrograph readings, and because the inert gas of the planet is causing a lot of interference. But with the coordinates that you have, you're able to fly through this gas, and then you end up getting to the processor ship with, like I said, negligible amount of time. And it has a small docking pad where cargo ships would go and pick up the stuff. This is essentially where you would have gone to pick up the stuff if it had been ready already, and ship it off. if it hadn't already made it up to the docking port on Eurymedon 2. But this is where like the cargo ships take that stuff. So you guys go and you land there, and you land on the ship, and then it like this dome like comes up around where you landed, and then you can hear like it gives you like a warning, and it says, "Be advised, pressure is being restored to the landing pad. Please do not disembark. Be advised." And then it just repeats that message a couple times. So after about like, it probably takes about 30 minutes to like fill up, pressurize, and make it breathable, and purge all of the toxins and shit from the, hostile biosphere. And then finally, like, it says, "You are now clear to disembark. Please make sure you register, or please make sure you check in at the desk."
You smell that? It smells like home.
Right.
All
Cool.
right, then I stock up.
Yeah, you guys grab all the things, right?
Correct.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys disembark.
But I guess, Nate, you said you're not big in combat. Would you be joining us?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, so Nate, Boomer in this situation is probably, would probably be used to like, well, if you're down here to like clear stuff out, and there's a lot of like mining tech that is down here, that you may have to like interact with, and none of the rest of you would know how to fuck to do that. So it's probably smart to take Boomer with you.
Sure, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
In these kind of missions, Boomer's more of a pack mule tech user.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's the guy that runs the stuff, and also, God forbid you guys roll some crazy shit and like a weapon breaks, he can probably repair it for you.
Well, in that case, judging by the party we have, I would say, well, Oscar, since you have the sword, I'm going to assume you're pretty front line. So I'll put you up front. Nate, you stay behind him. Margot behind Nate, and I'll take up the rear.
Whatever you
Sounds
say,
good to
man.
me. Yeah.
Cool. So you guys get down there, and you go to like the desk that it said, and the desk is actually like it's bolted to the ground, like on the landing platform. So it's not even like inside of the actual like dome that you see, and you see this like big like metal dome that has been like sealed in the same manner that the one you flew into and came up around you. And the desk, and there's an armature sitting there. And it's very like C-3PO-esque, very protocol droid-esque, if you want to imagine that. And it turns and it looks at you and it says, "Greetings. You are on mining station 10-358. How can I be of assistance?"
We're here to fix your problem.
"Be advised. This mining station has been compromised. We are awaiting a team to secure it. Entry at this time
Congratulations,
is
we are your
denied."
team.
It says entry at this time is denied.
So Oscar just like taps on the armor on his chest and looks at it, like to indicate that is the team is us. We are here.
Yeah. So like it kind of like looks at you and it doesn't really understand the concept of what you're doing because it's a freaking armature and it's programmed with a very specific set of things that it does. And so it says, "Be advised, this mining facility is currently closed. We are awaiting a team.
I'm
Current
gonna
access
kind of
is
step forward
denied."
in front of the group. So I don't think you understand. We're from West Wind, kind of leaning in, showing him the patch on my
Sure.
shoulder.
And
like,
you can see
We're
he like
here because
he
it's
like
compromised.
looks at it and scans it and he goes, "Identified Westwind Corporation personnel. How may I be of assistance?"
Yes, we would like access to the facility so it may handle the compromised condition.
You can see it just says processing. "I was told that member of Tote Alliance would be on their way to this location to cleanse. Has this changed? Yes or no?"
Yes.
"Very well. Westwind
Like that
Corporation
deadpan
override.
Mechanical.
Enjoy your stay at the facility. And you see like the doors behind it that lead into like the dome, just kind of open.
Enter.
Yeah, so you guys go in, and as you guys go in, you can see that inside is basically like this asteroid-esque rock that has like these big securing pylons. So it's kind of like stationed in the middle, and then there's a grav platform that goes like to and from the rock, and you can see like there's structure built on just like on the outside of the rock, and then you can see like these tunnels that go in from there and kind of obviously purvey the rock. Just to give you guys a scope of scale here, it's probably the rock itself is probably maybe like a kilometer tall ish. No, probably not that big. It's probably like half a kilometer tall. So it's fairly large. Like it's gonna require some work. But you know, that's really not that much space to cover, because more than likely not all of the tunnels are dug all the way through, and you know, it'll take some exploration to get through. But yeah, no. And the doors close behind you, and you hear the same voice, and it says, "Be advised, we have detected contamination inside of this material. Should you wish to proceed, please do so with caution. Have a great day."
At this point, I'm actually going to boot up my data slab, and I'm going to start mapping out the tunnels as we explore them.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It definitely won't take you that long to get through everything. There's perhaps like a day that you might have to like go back out to the ship and then go back, but other than that, you guys kind of have free reign of the place. So, do you guys just enter in and attempt to figure out what the heck is going on? There is like on the inside of this door, there's clearly like a control center, like to your right, where the left is the grav like platform that goes back and forth. But there's like a control center to your right, and you can see that like all of the instrumentation in there is all kind of shut down. It's running on like minimal power.
Okay, I'm actually going to go over to the computer and attempt to boot it back up.
Okay, yeah. So you enter into the door. The door doesn't open. You actually have to like manually like flip the hatch and open it up because it's running on low power, like I said. So you get in there. Roll me a. I'm gonna ask you for a roll here. Roll me tech post tech to see if you can successfully boot this place up in its current state. It's gonna be pretty easy. It's probably gonna be a difficulty 6. There's a very slim chance that you don't do it, but there is a chance.
I assume it's intelligence?
Yes, it is. Yeah, no problem. So Boomer like kind of walks in and just like, and the lights start to like, they do that spotlight thing that you see in movies and games where it's like one light and then 2 spotlights and then 3 and then 4. So it kind of like lights it up in sequence. And you can see the rock clearly now. And now that you can see it clearly, it appears to have like this odd kind of sheen to it, like almost like it's wet. Almost like it's damp, the rock itself, like in the exterior of the piece, and so yeah, for all intents and purposes, it looks alien in nature. But I mean, this is space and sci-fi. Everything's a little weird. But yeah, now you have full power. All the tunnels are lit. All that other fun stuff.
Can I set a link between my data slab and this primary computer so that I can access the primary computer's system and sensors?
You absolutely can. However, I think I'm actually going to require a tech save to see how good the link is. With a success on a tech save, okay, well, you got a failure. There will be parts that you won't be able to access it just due to the density of the rock and the location. Just your data slab just isn't powerful enough to like compute from distance like that. Like the Wi-Fi signal just doesn't reach out.
No, I got it.
You'll have a little bit of functionality, but not a whole lot. Cool. So you guys head in. Is that what we do here?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Then I will...
actually, since I'm in the mainframe computer, I'm actually going to pull up the maps that's already in the database and the.
Yeah, you can
stuff.
absolutely do that. You can absolutely pull up the maps already.
So I think if you're working on this on your data slab, Oscar is just totally over your shoulder trying to absorb all of the maps. It doesn't ask you to send them or anything. He's just staring at your data slab.
He's just like looming behind you the whole time. Cool.
Oscar, when this is done, you're definitely buying me a beer.
He nods. He's like,
At least buy me dinner first. Cool. All right. So you guys head in. So what is the like? So from what you know, also I assume, Boomer, that you also pull up like incident reports, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you pull up incident reports, and you find that there is probably some like mining footage, because like all miners typically wear like a body cam of some sort, just so that if they're trapped, it can like send a signal and give a general location to where they are, if in the event of like tunnel collapse, etc. So you pull up that map and or not the map, you pull up that video, and you get like a just audio feed because it's coming from the computer, and it appears to be a couple miners just like chatting. I think they're chatting in like probably, what language are they chatting in? Probably like Japanese. They're probably chatting in Japanese, and you can't really translate it. But what you hear is this. You hear them talking. They're just kind of having like a cordial conversation, and then one of them clearly says like, huh? What, like, what's that? Which is kind of like synonymous with like language, right? And then you hear like frantic, like panic scream, like panic voices, and like clearly they're like running out. You hear like the sound of running, and then they like get out, and that's when you see the burst of video where they're like coming out of the rock, and they're like leaping onto the grav pad, and you see that like the camera, as the guy like looks around, he looks down at his arm, and you can see that there is this centipede-like creature that is got about 15 to 15, maybe like it's probably about the length of a forearm, a typical human forearm. That part wasn't exaggerated at all, and it's got these weird, really like sharp pincers, and it kind of like looks at it looks at the person, but it also looks at like the camera just so we can see, and it just goes. And you see him like grab it and like throw it, and it falls. You see it like tumble a little ways. And yeah, you see the grav pad like slowly like moving back from the rock. And that's where the video cuts out.
Was the volume on for that, like, so we all could hear it?
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, that's up to Boomer.
Oh no, the volume would have been on.
Yeah, you all hear that. You all hear like these Japanese like talking, and then like, huh? And then they're like, oh shit, run! And then like you hear, and like you hear him like leap onto the grav pad, and then you hear just that, and yeah, that's it.
So
am I able to remotely
Oscar,
access?
Like gestures at, he's like over your shoulder, pointing at your data slab, and he's saying, "Is there live feed currently? Are there cameras?"
I was actually just going to ask that. Do I have access to the system's active feed cameras?
So there's no
via my
internal
data slab?
cameras. They wouldn't waste money on putting cameras inside the rock. They just give the cameras to their miners. But if you do a search for the cameras of people in there, there's no active like exosuits or camera suits in there currently. And
Okay.
like you could probably pull up an inventory screen too, and you see that all the exosuits and stuff are accounted for. And you remember, like, well, I guess the other two recall, like, you know, the guy said there were no casualties, like there was no deaths. They just reported this crazy BS and due to protocol, we got to call somebody to fix it, etc., etc.
So let's go fix.
Can we review what the fix parameters were?
So the dome has automatic like purge controls. It was claimed that those were faulty, but it's generally not designed to kill or purge like alive things, right? So one thing that you could do, like potentially, is you could go in and just, holy fire cleanse the entire place. But also, like, those purge parameters could be reprogrammed to identify a different threat than what they typically hunt out. Like, let's say it's clear that these things avoided the purge the first time, right? Like, it's clear, like, they somehow were able to dodge it. But reprogramming the purge controls could cause in the genocide of these creatures, whatever they might be. But it would require you having some more information on these creatures, whatever they might be.
Let's go catch one.
Yeah, you could totally go catch one alive. No problem.
I support trying to catch one alive, and we'll reprogram it and try and purge it.
Is this all happening in character, this conversation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, Oscar says, I am on board with this also.
Just tell me what to do.
Sure. So I think Oscar just starts marching onward.
Okay. So yeah, so you guys like hop into the grav car finally. You're like all suiting up, you got all your things. We have that cool scene where it's like zoomed out like to the back wall as you guys like are slowly approaching the rock. And yeah, so you guys get off the grav platform, and you can see now from this side, like where the rock is, you can see like where like the tools were used to like cut into said rock, and get in there. And based on the maps that you identified, you can tell, or the maps that you pulled, you can tell like they didn't get too far into doing this, but you can also tell that like it's clear based on like the mineral content, because you would have pulled up like schematics of this rock or like mineral content of this rock, that this is like not a gold mine per se, but this is like extremely valuable piece of mineral right here. Like it's one of the higher end ones. So whatever they had done already was probably enough to get it, to pay out to give to Westwind, but they weren't even like they hadn't even really gotten through all of it yet to determine that. So yeah, so you guys get off and you guys enter into the rock crevice. So I need whichever one of you wants to do it. Roll me a survival check based on I'm actually going to say based on wisdom. Whoever wants to roll me a survival check based on wisdom should do so. Whichever one of you guys can totally metagame it, and one of you can try and assist.
I have a 0.
Difficulty is going to be 7, so it's not that hard.
I have a -1, so I'll assist.
I don't have it trained, but I do have wisdom. So if you can do better, I think you should do it.
Okay. So if you have wisdom, then you can do that. Yeah.
What is the situation? Because maybe
the situation is you're going to attempt to like the goal, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you want to see if you can identify one of these creatures and potentially catch it, or at least get enough biological material that you can reprogram the system to purge this biological material instead of whatever material it was purging before.
Sure.
That's the goal, right? So the
I
survival
would
check
like
is to find these creatures, right? That's the survival check.
Mm-hmm. Could I assist with security, which has to do with recognizing, disarming, and setting traps?
I don't think so.
If we want to catch one of these little buggers?
Oh, yeah. So if you want to set a trap, sure. Like if you want to like try and manufacture a trap. But if that's what you're doing, then the other person will be required to roll, because you're just trying to find them right now. Like
Sure.
If you want to set a trap, that's fine. Somebody else can roll the trap roll. Like, if you want to assist them in making a trap, that's cool.
Yeah.
But you would still have to figure out via survival the best location to place said trap. Like, if they have, like, little holes that they come in and out of, or if they burrow at all. Like, what if they were just dormant inside this thing and use the natural tunnels? So, like, that's what the survival roll is for.
Okay. I probably can't justify a way to assist with that then.
I think you might have the best roll for it, though, because you have wisdom. I don't think anybody else has a bonus to wisdom.
Yeah, I think both of you are at a net 0. So one of you assist and one of you roll. Yeah, knowing that none of you actually get the rolls.
The plan currently sort of hinges on this, and no one has used a reroll yet.
True.
So I think that it would be better if you did it.
He doesn't have a reroll. It's
I
the other
do.
two that have rerolls. So like you
Sure.
guys could guide Boomer. Like, Boomer knows the tunnels, right? Because he can identify the maps a bit easier and knows how to read them a little bit better. You guys could assist him in where it looks like a natural tunnel maybe intersects with a man-made tunnel.
I have a general idea of where to find one of these.
Sure, absolutely.
I
Yeah,
rolled
so
a 6 and a 1.
yeah, good job. You still made it. 7's still the most common number.
Yeah.
So I think that you guys get into the tunnels, and I think that at that point, I'm going to move you guys over here.
Cool.
So, you are in a general location where the tunnels are, or where you think that like they might have originated from. Maybe use like a heat mapping of some sort to like be like, hey, like this place looks like it has more traffic on the map. Or like has more smaller tunnels interconnecting with it than the others. So yeah, you generally have a good idea of where it is. And so now in the order that you said you were walking in. So for those of you that have not done this before, which I think is everybody except, I guess only 2 of you actually have not done this with me before. When I design a map like this, you guys are free to explore 1 square at a time at a reasonable pace. Don't like move 1,000 squares at one time because that's unfair.
Sure.
But when I say to stop because something is going to happen, everybody stops where they are currently, and that's where we start something.
Jordan, I have a question.
Yeah.
Would tactics have been a reasonable thing in that situation, like trying to assess where threats could come from? Or
I think that tactics in this situation would apply more to like if you guys were trying to get out, or in this instance, like right now, like finding the general location is not tactics, but right now, if you want to like at certain points throughout the tunnels make a tactics roll and be like, hey, where's the best place for an ambush from this location? It's going to be hard because these are completely alien creatures to you, so you do not know what tactics they use. So what you might assume a creature of this type would do, they may do something completely different. But at some point, I feel like tactics is more, in this instance, in the moment, and not so much like a preparatory thing.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead. You guys can use the arrow keys to explore.
That
with
moment
your,
is
with your guys.
appropriate. I would probably like to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will become clear to you because I know what the dungeon looks like. So as you guys travel, you guys luckily turned on all the lights, which is good because originally this did not have lights in it. So as you guys travel, you can see that this tunnel that you're in goes for quite a ways. It's got this. You can see that the tracks are kind of, and they're kind of old school, kind of a little bit TL2 esque, but none of the stuff in here works on grav. Only that track outside. All the rest of the stuff here is basically tires and that kind of stuff. Yeah, and you guys can see like piles like in these barrels. There's like water. And you can actually hear in this whole tunnel area there's like a dripping, and you can see that in these barrels there's like water dripping into them, because down here it's very, very humid, very, very like damp. So as you approach here, you can see that this it's not rubble blocking it off, it's actually boarded up. this particular tunnel is boarded up. And Boomer, if you consult the map, you can see that this is like a they got to the end of where they were digging here, and they're like, okay, well, this is nothing. Let's board it up to mark it as a no-go, like a no good or whatever. But since your goal is not to find out where the stuff is, your goal is to find out where the things are. You're still kind of on the right path. You know that.
Cool.
It's too easy